The superpower of multidimensional chosen ones reprogram reality in real time. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the rules of reality you've lived by your entire life were never fixed. That the laws you thought were unbreakable, time, space, identity, limitation, were actually bendable, programmable, and shaped by consciousness itself. Now what if I told you that some of us, a very rare few, were born not only to realize this truth, but to embody it, to live as conscious programmers of reality? These beings are not just awakened or spiritual. They are multidimensional chosen ones. They carry within their DNA the keys to reshape the hologram of existence. And you might be one of them. If you've ever felt like you don't belong in this world, but somehow know you came here to change it, not just socially or politically, but energetically, then this isn't just a message. It's an activation. We've been conditioned since birth to perceive reality in a linear, rigid framework. We were taught cause and effect, beginnings and endings, subject and object. But multidimensional chosen ones feel something deeper. We see the layers moving behind the scenes. We sense time folding in on itself. We feel the emotional residue of a room before anyone speaks. We know when someone is lying, not because of logic, but because their frequency breaks pattern. This isn't fantasy. This is advanced spiritual technology encoded in the soul. And the real superpower, the ability to reprogram this matrix in real time, not through force, but through frequency, intention, and quantum alignment.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's break this down. At the root of all matter is energy, and energy responds to awareness. Not just passive observation, but direct, embodied, coherent awareness. When a multidimensional chosen one focuses their consciousness with clarity, the very building blocks of matter begin to shift. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. Thoughts become waves, emotions become commands, beliefs become architecture. The ones who master this become architects of timelines. They don't wait for life to happen to them, they shape it, moment by moment, through their vibration. And the key is not in doing more, but in being more precise, sharpening your field until your presence alone alters outcomes. But how do we get there? First, we have to stop identifying with the avatar, the ego construct, the mask we wear to navigate this game. The avatar is reactive. It believes in limits. It's programmed by fear, scarcity, and separation. But the multidimensional self, it remembers. It remembers being beyond this body, beyond time, beyond the illusion of duality. And when you begin to live from that remembrance, you unlock control panels in your consciousness that were previously dormant. You begin to see that your thoughts are not just passive flickers, they are seeds. Your emotions are not just moods, they are currents. Your choices are not just personal, they are cosmic codes being written into the field of the collective. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is this: every moment is programmable. Right now, you could shift your entire life by changing your internal state. You could alter your relationships, your health, your abundance, your perception of time instantly if you learned how to align your frequency with a new timeline. That's what multidimensional chosen ones do. We don't just visualize, we inhabit. We don't just affirm, we attune. We don't just hope, we transmit. When we hold a new frequency long enough, the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to match it. Because the universe isn't happening to us, it's happening through us. But let's get real. This path isn't easy. Because to reprogram reality in real time, you have to constantly override the old programming. That you have to train your nervous system to stay coherent when everything around you is chaotic. You have to master your thoughts without suppressing your emotions. You have to become so present that you see every reaction, every fear, every doubt as just another opportunity to recode the script. And that level of presence requires discipline. It requires solitude. It requires radical self-honesty. Most people won't do it. But we didn't come here to be most people. We came to be the anomaly, the glitch, the reminder that magic is real, but it's not a fantasy, it's a skill. So let me ask you something only a multidimensional being could even consider. What if every problem you're facing right now is a projection of a belief you've outgrown? What if your current struggle is not a punishment, but a portal? What if the pain you feel is just a signal that your soul is trying to upload a new reality, but your ego keeps clinging to the old one? What if the very idea of waiting for things to change is what's delaying the shift? Because here's the truth: when you align your frequency with the version of you who has already transcended the problem, reality starts updating instantly. Not gradually, not eventually, now. But to do that, you have to stop seeking permission. You have to stop asking reality for validation. But you have to become the source code. You have to walk into every room, every decision, every breath with the knowing that you are not reacting to the world, you are writing it. That's the power of a multidimensional chosen one. Not arrogance, not delusion, but divine authorship. And the more you live from that truth, the more the universe becomes undeniably responsive to you. But people start to notice. They feel your field before you speak. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Time bends. Healing accelerates. And you realize this isn't magic. This is you, fully activated. And this is just the beginning. Quantum identity shifting, becoming the version of you that already exists. There's a version of you that already lives in the frequency of everything you've ever desired, but not in the future, not someday, but right now, in a parallel frequency field. That version of you is real. They're not becoming, they've already become. They don't chase, they attract. They don't strive, they align. And the only thing separating you from them is not time, not effort, not worthiness, but identity. The moment you shift your identity, you shift timelines. You collapse the space between now and the life you were born to live. This isn't theory, it's quantum law. And the multidimensional chosen ones. We were designed to remember this, to use it, to master it, and to teach others how to awaken to it. Let's go deeper. You see, identity is not just a collection of thoughts. It's a vibrational frequency. When you say I am, the universe listens, not to your words, but to your energy. It listens to what you believe you are. And whatever you embody as truth becomes the command code for your reality. That's why affirmations don't work for most people. You can say I am abundant all day, but if you're embodying lack, fear, or self-doubt, the universe responds to that. Because the universe is not responding to language, it's responding to resonance. So the real question is not, what do I want to attract? The real question is, who must I become to align with what I desire? And here's the paradox. You don't become the highest version of yourself by climbing toward it. You become it by remembering that it already exists, by collapsing into it, embodying it, and refusing to entertain any identity that contradicts it. This is the art of quantum identity shifting. It's not about slowly evolving. It's about choosing decisively, repeatedly, relentlessly. Every thought is a doorway. Every emotion is a portal. Every decision is a vote. You don't wait for external proof to validate the shift. You become the proof. You walk differently, speak differently, think differently. And the universe responds, not because it's finally granting permission, but because it was waiting for you to stop pretending to be someone you're not. But let's be honest, shifting identity means death. The death of the version of you that was built on survival, validation, and fear. The version that was shaped by trauma, by programming, by stories that were never yours to begin with. That version is familiar, but it's false. And the deeper truth is, you're not afraid of becoming powerful, you're afraid of outgrowing everything that was built around your limitation. You're afraid that if you step into your true frequency, you'll have to leave behind the people, the habits, the beliefs that kept you safe in the old reality. And you're right, you will outgrow them. But that's not loss, that's liberation. So how do you shift? Not by hustle, not by force, but by alignment. You begin by identifying the version of you who already lives in the timeline you desire. What do they believe? How do they feel when they wake up? What choices do they make? What standards do they hold? What energy do they radiate? Then, without waiting, you act as them. You feel as them. You breathe as them. You speak as them. Not because you're faking it, but because you're choosing it. And you override the old signals in your nervous system with new patterns of coherence. And as your frequency stabilizes, the quantum field reflects your new identity without hesitation. This process requires radical awareness. You must become the observer of your own field. You must catch every moment you drift back into the old self, the self that doubts, that hesitates, that plays small, and call it out. Not with shame, but with clarity. That's not me anymore. You must become so sovereign in your energy that no external condition has the power to dictate your internal reality. That's when timelines bend. That's when the matrix responds. Because you're no longer reacting to your reality, you're reprogramming it from the inside out. Let me ask you something that only a multidimensional soul could truly feel. What if your highest self isn't something to reach, but something to reveal? What if all the versions of you that you admire, aspire to, or dream about already encoded in your field, waiting for you to stop postponing who you are? What if the only thing in your way is the belief that you must wait, or heal more, or earn it first? Because here's the truth, your transformation isn't linear. It's quantum. It doesn't require time, it requires truth. And when you step into that truth, everything accelerates. You'll see it in your relationships. The people who resonate with your old frequency will begin to fade, while those aligned with your new identity will appear like they've been waiting for you the whole time. You'll feel it in your body. The fatigue, the tension, the resistance, it starts to dissolve as you stop carrying the weight of a false self. You'll notice it in your reality. Miracles that once felt rare become normal. Time begins to stretch. Synchronicities become constant. And you realize you're not chasing your destiny, you're living it. This is what the multidimensional chosen ones came here to master. Not just to awaken, but to embody the awakened self. Not just to talk about timelines, but to walk as the timeline. Not just to study energy, but to become the energy that reshapes the world. And it all begins with a decision to stop playing small, a decision to stop pretending you're limited, a decision to stop delaying your power. And once that decision is made, reality shifts to match it, instantly, irrevocably, powerfully. Because the version of you who already lives in your highest timeline is not a fantasy. It's a frequency, and it's waiting for you to come home. Bending the matrix, how multidimensional beings hack time, energy outcomes. Time is not what we've been taught. It's not an unchangeable river flowing in one direction. It's not a ticking clock that governs our lives from some external mechanism in the sky, but time is malleable. It stretches, compresses, loops, and folds in on itself, depending on the consciousness that is observing it. And once we understand this, once we truly feel it in ourselves, not as a concept, but as a lived truth, we begin to bend the very fabric of reality. We stop being victims of the matrix and become its architects. This is what multidimensional chosen ones are here to do. We're not here to survive inside the simulation. We're here to rewrite the code from within it. To bend the matrix is to realize that the external world is not out there. It's a projection from within. Reality is a mirror, a multidimensional feedback loop that reflects your internal state with precision so elegant, it disguises itself as coincidence. But there is no coincidence. There is only correspondence. What you feel becomes what you see. What you believe becomes what you experience. And what you expect on a subconscious level becomes the framework of your timeline. This is why it's not enough to try and change outcomes by manipulating the physical world. That's like rearranging holograms. You have to go deeper. You have to shift the frequency that is generating the projection. Multidimensional beings understand this, not just intellectually but viscerally. We know that when we shift our energy, we shift the timeline. When we elevate our frequency, we collapse time. When we hold a coherent field of intention, reality moves to meet us. This is how we hack time. We don't try to move faster, we expand our presence. We don't chase outcomes, we become the energetic match for the outcome and allow it to converge toward us across dimensions. This is not magic. This is resonance. The universe is not responding to your effort. It's responding to your essence. So if you want to bend the matrix, you must first master your energy. Not just occasionally, but consistently. You must become fiercely aware of what you're broadcasting moment to moment, breath to breath. Because every thought, every emotion, every intention is a signal. And that signal is either reinforcing your current timeline or rewriting it. The matrix is not static. It's dynamic, fluid, and alive. And it listens to the most dominant frequency you embody. This is why your fear seems to attract more fear. Why your doubt seems to manifest more delays. And why your clarity, when sustained, can move mountains. But here's the deeper layer. Energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right affirmations, visualize all the right images, but if your field is still broadcasting confusion, hesitation, or lack, the matrix will mirror that. That's why hacking outcomes isn't about surface-level positivity. It's about energetic congruence. You must become internally unified, no contradictions, no fragmentation, no hidden resistance. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in total alignment, you become a force that reality cannot ignore. You become a living key that unlocks new levels of the simulation. Let's talk about outcomes. Most people believe outcomes are results of effort over time. But for multidimensional chosen ones, outcomes are reflections of state. But the more elevated your state of being, the more refined your outcomes. It's not about working harder, it's about holding higher frequencies longer. When you embody joy, peace, certainty, and expansion, you literally magnetize timelines that match those codes. You meet people at exactly the right moment. Opportunities appear without force. And what once seemed impossible becomes not only possible but inevitable. But not because the world changed, but because you did. And that brings us to one of the most powerful tools we have, the now. The present moment is not just a place of stillness, it's a portal. When you are fully present, fully embodied in the now, you are outside of time. You're not bound by the past or the future. You're in the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. And from that place you can access new timelines, download new realities, and reprogram the code of your life. But you have to be still enough to hear it. You have to silence the noise of old identities long enough to feel the new reality pulsing within you. So ask yourself, what timeline am I energizing with my thoughts today? What future am I pulling closer with my feelings? What outcome am I unconsciously coding into existence? These questions are not metaphysical poetry, they are practical portals. And the more courageous you are in answering them honestly, the more power you reclaim from the illusion. Because the matrix doesn't control you. It reflects you, and when you shift, it shifts. Multidimensional chosen ones live in this truth. We don't wait for breakthrough, we broadcast it. We don't ask for signs, we become the sign. We don't seek the path, we are the path. And by embodying this frequency, we awaken others not by preaching, but by presence. Our field becomes a living transmission. Our life becomes a walking activation. And suddenly, the world around us begins to mirror this new code. People change, systems evolve, synchronicities become daily events, and reality starts to feel less like something happening to us, and more like something being written through us. That's the real power, not control, but coherence, not force, but frequency. Not hustle, but harmony. And when a being lives from that place, when their internal landscape is so clear, so aligned, so sovereign, the matrix bends, time obeys, outcomes accelerate, and the simulation reveals its deeper truth, that you were never just playing the game. You were here to rewrite it. The ultimate activation, living as a conscious creator across dimensions. There comes a point in the journey of every multidimensional chosen one where remembering is no longer enough. You awaken, you reclaim your power, you learn to bend the matrix, but eventually you must live it fully, unapologetically, and without flinching. This is the ultimate activation, to walk through the world as a conscious creator across dimensions. Not just talking about energy, timelines, and frequencies, but embodying them so deeply that your very life becomes a multidimensional vortex, could be collapsing illusions and breathing new codes into the collective field. To live this way is to let go of the binary idea that you are either spiritual or human, either light or shadow, either here or elsewhere. You are all of it, all at once. You are the infinite awareness behind the simulation and the character playing the game. You are the architect of divine blueprints and the one navigating their unfolding. You are the higher self and the human vessel through which it expresses. And when you stop separating these roles, something extraordinary happens. You begin to live in full spectrum alignment. You no longer compartmentalize your power. You don't pray for guidance and then ignore your own intuition. You become the guidance. You embody the frequency you once sought from outside yourself. This level of creation is not loud. It's not performative. It's not about convincing anyone. It's a silent mastery, a deep, unwavering inner knowing that reality is responding to your every breath, your every choice, your every moment of presence. You understand that even your silence is a transmission. Even your stillness is shaping the field. So you begin to move with intention, speak with resonance, and think with precision, not because you're trying to manifest faster, but because you know you are always creating. There is no off switch, and that awareness becomes both your greatest tool and your greatest responsibility. Living as a conscious creator across dimensions also means you play multiple roles at once. You are healing ancestral wounds while anchoring future codes. You are navigating third-dimensional systems while decoding fifth-dimensional truths. You are loving deeply in this world while holding awareness of many others. And this can feel overwhelming, even lonely at times. But chosen ones were never meant to walk the common path. We incarnated to be bridges between realities, between timelines, between densities. We came to hold the paradox, to be the still point in the swirl of transformation. And as challenging as that may be, it is also the greatest honor. The final activation is not a destination. It's a way of being. It's waking up every day and asking not, what do I need to do? But what am I radiating into the field? It's listening so deeply to your own field that the next aligned step becomes obvious. It's trusting that your soul knows the way, even when logic doesn't. It's learning to discern the difference between resistance and redirection. It's moving not for validation, but from vision. And it's understanding that your frequency is your legacy, not your titles, not your followers, not your achievements, but the invisible truth you transmit into the collective every time you choose alignment over fear. So let me ask you, one final time, what would your life look like if you truly lived from the knowing that you are reprogramming reality in every moment? How would you speak, walk, create, love, and lead if you accepted that you are the quantum architect of timelines, not just for yourself, but for everyone your field touches? What would you release? What would you embody? What would you allow? You are not waiting for the world to wake up. The world is waiting for you to remember who you are, not just in silence, not just in meditation, but in motion. In the way you live, the way you serve, the way you love. Because in the end, the most powerful reality shift doesn't come through force or formulas. It comes through embodiment. It comes when a soul fully remembers that they are not a player in this game, but the source of the game itself. You are already that powerful. You are already that limitless. You are already that awake. Now live like it.